Welcome to The Explainer. So today we are diving deep into a question that I'm pretty sure has crossed all of our minds at some point. Can all those brain games actually make you smarter? Or is it just a bunch of hype? Let's get into it.
I mean, you've seen them, right? They pop up all over your app store. Games that promise to supercharge your memory, your focus, your entire brain power. We're talking about a massive industry here. But the big question is, does any of it actually work?
Yeah, the promises are pretty tempting, aren't they? A sharper mind, a younger brain, and all it takes is just a few minutes a day playing these little memory games and puzzles. It sounds almost too good to be true. Okay, so let's cut through the noise. What does the science actually have to say about all this? It's time to separate the real, hard facts from all that slick marketing.
All right, before we get into the whole debate and all the controversy surrounding these apps, let's start with a solid foundation. Let's talk about what neuroscientists pretty much all agree on when it comes to brain health.
And here's a great point from neurologist Dr. Alana Klar. She says that stimulating activities, things like learning a new language, picking up a new skill, even playing simple word games, they all play a super important role. The bottom line is, an active, engaged brain is a healthy brain. That's the bedrock principle. And the term for this, what the experts call it, is cognitive vitality. Basically, it's just a fancy way of saying we want our brains to stay sharp. Keeping those high-level functions like memory, attention, and how fast we can think on our feet, especially as we get a little older. So, how much of a difference can this really make? Well, get this. A really fascinating study found that something as simple as doing crossword puzzles regularly delayed significant memory decline by an average of 2.5 years for people who eventually developed dementia. 2.5 years. That's a huge deal.
This idea isn't some newfangled concept. That whole thing about crossword puzzles, it actually points us toward a much older truth. The wisdom baked into classic games that have been pushing our minds to the limit for centuries. Just think about a game like chess. I mean, it is the perfect example, right? It's pure strategy, there's no luck, no hidden cards, just you and your opponent. And playing it really hones some very specific mental muscles. And again, this is not a new revelation. We're talking way back in 1786. You had Benjamin Franklin writing about what he called the morals of chess. He saw it as more than a game. It was a tool for building up crucial mental skills, like thinking ahead and not rushing into decisions.
And hey, it's not just about chess, of course. There's a whole world of these analog puzzles, things like crosswords and Scrabble. They're great for your verbal skills. Sudoku helps out with memory, and even something like a jigsaw puzzle can have a really positive, long-term effect on your brain. Okay, so all of that brings us full circle, right back to the big question we started with. What about all those digital brain training apps? The Lumosities of the world. And this is where we really see the clash, the big debate. On one hand, you've got the app companies with their very polished marketing, telling you how their games are based on real neuropsychological tasks. But then, on the other hand, you have a lot of skepticism, not just from users, but from people in the scientific community too. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the entire debate. It's about a scientific concept called transfer. The big question is, does getting better and better at one specific game on your phone actually transfer over and make you smarter in real life? Does it help you with your job or remembering your grocery list? Okay, so let's take an example. A lot of these apps use games based on a tough scientific task called the N-back test. It's basically a really demanding memory challenge. And sure, you can practice and get really good at that one game, but here's the catch. Study after study has found that those skills, they don't really seem to transfer. Getting good at the game doesn't necessarily boost your overall intelligence or other cognitive abilities. So, if there's no single magic game that's going to be the silver bullet for our brains, then what is the answer? Well, the science seems to be pointing towards a much broader, more holistic approach. Yeah, it turns out that keeping your brain fit isn't just about puzzles. It's about challenging it in all sorts of new and different ways. Things like trying to learn a new language, reading different kinds of books, even stuff like daily meditation. It's these varied experiences that really build new connections in the brain. All right, so where does that leave us? What's the final verdict on brain training? Let's wrap this all up and put the pieces together. So here's the main takeaway. The core idea behind all of this is absolutely sound. An engaged brain is a healthier brain. That part is totally supported by science. Now, do some of the apps go a little overboard with their claims of raising your IQ? Yeah, probably. But the basic act of engaging your mind, that's definitely a good thing. So what should you take away from all this? Well, there are 3 really crucial points. First, variety is everything. Don't just play one type of game over and over. Mix it up. Puzzles, strategy, creative stuff. The more the better. Second, it has to actually be a challenge. If it feels too easy, your brain isn't getting a proper workout. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, think of this as a lifestyle. It's not a quick fix. It's about a lifelong commitment to learning and keeping your mind engaged.
At the end of the day, the power to keep your mind sharp, it's really in your hands. So let me leave you with this thought. If your brain really is like a muscle, what's your next workout gonna be? Thanks for watching.